Hello and welcome to Firstpost Live, where we bring you the day's top 4 stories from across the world. I am Joshua Barnes, live from the Firstpost studios. Let's begin with the headlines. The US confirms agreeing to a NATO-style security guarantee for Ukraine, along with its European allies. Under the draft peace pact, any attack on Ukraine will be regarded as an attack on the wider transatlantic region. At least 3 people are killed after a 5.5 magnitude earthquake strikes Bangladesh, with tremors felt as far as the Indian city of Kolkata. UN climate talks head into their final day in Brazil's Belém, after disruption due to a massive fire at the summit venue. The countries at the COP30 summit are still sharply split over reducing fossil fuel consumption. Taiwan's tech giant Foxconn and ChatGPT maker OpenAI announce a deal to build AI data center hardware. The AI hardware will be manufactured at Foxconn's US facilities. And Mexico's Fatima Bosch is crowned Miss Universe in Thailand, cruising to victory after staging a walkout when an organizer chastised her, among several dramatic developments that marred the pageant. We begin in Johannesburg. South Africa is hours away from hosting a landmark moment, the first ever G20 summit on African soil. The host nation is pushing a strong agenda of global solidarity, climate action and debt relief for developing nations. World leaders, including India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi, the EU leadership and heads of government from across Asia, Africa, Latin America and West Asia are beginning to land in the country. But even before the beginning of the G20 Leaders Summit, the biggest talking point isn't just the agenda, it's the American absence that has cast a shadow over this summit. Washington has announced that it will not participate in the G20 summit this year. President Donald Trump has justified the decision by accusing South Africa of human rights abuses and repeating discredited claims that white Afrikaners are being targeted in the country. Washington's absence is now at the centre of a new diplomatic spin. That's because South African President Cyril Ramaphosa said that the US has signalled a possible change of mind, indicating Washington might now participate in one shape or form at the summit. He called it a last-minute communication that required practical discussions on what that participation would actually look like. But shortly after, the White House shot down the possibility of its G20 availability. A US official called any suggestion of attending fake news, insisting that the United States is not joining G20 talks and will send only an envoy to the formal handover ceremony, when South Africa will pass the G20 presidency to the US at the end of the summit.
Have received notice from the United States, a notice which we are still in discussions with them over, about a change of mind about participating in one shape, form, or other in the summit. So the discussions are still ongoing. This comes really at the late hour before the summit begins. And so therefore we do need to engage in those types of discussions to see how practical it is and what it finally really means. In a way, we see this as a positive sign, very positive, because, as I've often said, boycott politics never work. It's always best to be inside the tent than being outside of the tent.
The United States is not participating in official talks at the G20 in South Africa. I saw the South African president running his mouth a little bit against the United States and the president of the United States earlier today, and that language is not appreciated by the president or his team. The ambassador or the representative of the embassy in South Africa is simply there to recognize that the United States will be the host of the G20. They are receiving that send-off. at the end of the event. They are not there to participate in official talks, despite what the South African president is falsely claiming.
And Washington's comment prompted a firm counter-statement in Pretoria. The South African president's spokesperson made it clear that the president will not hand over to an envoy, signalling displeasure at any downgraded US presence. And President Ramaphosa himself had warned earlier he does not want to hand over the G20 presidency to an empty chair, but added that it may end up being exactly that. Meanwhile, final preparations for the summit are underway across Johannesburg. Security drills, route sanitation, and last-minute infrastructure checks are running through. The social summit, the civil society wing of the G20, has already begun, packing thousands of delegates into Johannesburg's massive expo centre, showcasing cultural performances and calls for grassroots voices to be included in global decision-making. As the first G20 meeting in Africa opens, host nation South Africa hopes the summit will reflect the priorities of the Global South on climate resilience, fairer financing and debt justice. But the US boycott, and now the back and forth over a potential late shift, has already shaped the political atmosphere. For now, Johannesburg is setting the stage. The leaders are on their way, and the world is watching whether Africa's first G20 summit can deliver unity, even with one empty chair in the room. Let's shift our focus to a major quad military drill in the Indo-Pacific. Australia, India, Japan and the United States have wrapped up exercise Malabar 2025 held in and around Guam. This year's edition strengthens the four navies' coordination, tactical planning and combined maritime skills. The four nations conducted the drills between November the 10th and 18th as per US statements. The harbour phase took place from the 10th to the 12th of November, while the sea phase was conducted between the 13th and 17th. This year marked the 29th edition of the exercise, which started in 1992 as a bilateral drill between India and the United States before later expanding to include Japan and Australia. Naval forces from all four Quad countries were involved. India deployed the Shivalik-class stealth frigate INS Sahyadri. Australia sent the Anzac-class frigate HMAS Ballard. Japan participated with the Hyuga-class helicopter destroyer JS Hyuga, and the US contributed, including a P-8A Poseidon aircraft, a US submarine under Task Force 74. An explosive ordnance disposal mobile unit and Desron 15, the Navy's largest destroyer squadron. During the sea phase, the navies carried out a series of high-tempo operations. They practiced anti-submarine warfare, where ships track and stop enemy submarines underwater, conducted visit, board, search, seizure, or VBSS drills, in which teams board vessels to check for illegal activity or threats. The forces also held gunnery firing, practicing the use of naval guns, and underway replenishment, where ships refuel or take on supplies while moving. Their training continued with surface warfare exercises to counter enemy ships, advanced manoeuvring to move in tight coordination, and cross-deck helicopter operations, where helicopters land on each other's ships to improve joint readiness. The participating ships also exchanged sea raiders, which are sailors temporarily placed on another country's warship to observe, train and learn how their partners operate. This allows crews to pick up best practices directly on each other's platforms. Commanders from all four navies noted clear improvements in how the forces planned and executed combined tactics through the week-long drills. The captain of the US side expressed gratitude to all participating navies and especially to Guam as the host. He said he had seen tremendous growth in how the combined forces worked side by side, adding they had learned from one another and built person-to-person military relationships, calling their professionalism fully apparent and appreciated. This was the sixth time that all four Quad nations participated together in Malabar, a drill that has steadily expanded in scale and complexity. The US led this year's edition, though the leadership and location rotate annually to demonstrate the group's ability to operate across the Indo-Pacific. For decades, Malabar has been a key element of cooperation among these navies, and it will continue to serve as a major platform for future joint maritime readiness across the Western Pacific and Indian Ocean. Moving on to a sharp shockwave ripping through the crypto world. Bitcoin has crashed to its lowest level since April, tumbling to a little over the $86,000 mark. Months of gains vanished in a single Thursday sell-off as traders rushed to exit riskier assets. And what triggered this sudden panic? Surprisingly, it wasn't anything happening with the crypto market itself. It was old-school economic data, the kind that usually moves stocks and bonds, not digital coins. America's latest job reports came in far stronger than expected. The economy added 119,000 new jobs, more than double what economists had predicted. On the surface, strong hiring sounds like good news, but in financial markets it sends another message. The US Federal Reserve may not cut interest rates in December after all. And that instantly changed everything. The CME Group's Fed Watch tool, which traders use to guess the Fed's next move, now shows only a 40% chance of a December rate cut. And when rate cuts look less likely, investors quickly pull money out of speculative assets. Crypto sits right at the top of that list. Bitcoin wasn't the only one hit. Ethereum and XRP are trading more than 1% down, while Dogecoin too is now down by around 2%. What's interesting is that the crash happened on the same day Nvidia posted blockbuster earnings, sending AI stocks soaring. Normally, crypto rises with big tech, because many traders invest in both AI and digital assets together. But yesterday, that connection flipped. Since early October, the crypto market has faced a chain of forced liquidations. That's when traders who borrowed heavily to bet on rising prices are forced to sell when the market drops. Those rapid sell-offs revealed how fragile the system still is when confidence suddenly shifts.
Be careful, like any other thing, when you go in big and you see swings of 25% in a blink of an eye, that should raise a little bit of cautionary tale. These things could move quickly.
Just a few months ago, crypto was flying high. Bitcoin had crossed $100,000 in late 2024 as investors bet that the Trump presidency would bring friendlier policies. A year later, the market has now lost over $1 trillion in just 6 weeks, erasing nearly all of the yearly gains. So why is Bitcoin falling now? Well, part of it is fear that an AI bubble may be forming, and when investors get nervous, they dump the riskiest assets first. More broadly, another reason is the lingering anxiety over Trump's earlier threats of new tariffs on China. And then there are big investors pulling money out of Bitcoin ETFs this month, forcing funds to sell large amounts of the crypto quickly. This selling pressure has pushed prices lower and hurt market confidence. The bigger picture is even clearer. Crypto is no longer moving only on blockchain upgrades or industry news. It is reacting to the same forces that move traditional markets: inflation numbers, payroll data, and interest rate expectations. And that sets the stage for what comes next. Is this new market era, even the world's most famous digital currency, can rise or fall based on something as simple as how many Americans got hired last month? And in crypto, that might be the most surprising plot twist of all. We end with a moment that has the internet doing a double take. An AI-generated video posted by President Donald Trump on his social media has caught everyone's attention. The clip shows Trump and Cristiano Ronaldo kicking a soccer ball around the president's desk, complete with headers, dribbles, and a spinning move inside of the Oval Office. Netizens are saying the viral moment is part football fantasy, part tech spectacle. The video comes after Ronaldo made an appearance at a glitzy state dinner hosted by President Donald Trump for Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman during his official visit on November the 18th, where Trump introduced Ronaldo as one of the biggest leaders in sport. The Portuguese footballer has scored more than 950 career goals and is under contract with Al Nassr in the Saudi Pro League until 2027, a club backed by the kingdom's public investment fund. The gathering also highlighted the deep political and commercial weight of the US-Saudi relationship. Alongside Ronaldo and Elon Musk, the dinner drew FIFA President Gianni Infantino, House Speaker Mike Johnson, Vice President J.D. Vance, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, and Donald Trump Jr. On his social media, Trump also called Ronaldo a great guy, adding that his soccer-obsessed son Barron now respects him a little more after meeting the football star.
You know, my son is a big fan of Ronaldo, wherever Ronaldo is here. Ronaldo. And Barron got to meet him, and I think he respects his father a little bit more now, just the fact that I introduced you. So I just want to thank you both for being here. Thank you very much. Really an honor.
Following the meeting, Ronaldo thanked President Trump for the warm welcome, calling the visit meaningful and speaking of inspiring a quote-unquote new generations towards courage and peace. Trump's use of artificial intelligence has become a major feature of his digital strategy. In recent months, he has shared multiple AI-generated images and videos to shape his public image. Earlier in July, Trump shared an AI-generated video depicting former President Barack Obama being arrested by FBI agents inside the Oval Office. The video showed Obama being handcuffed, led away, and eventually standing in a jail cell in an orange prison uniform while Trump looked on smiling. Earlier this year, Trump also shared an AI-generated video called Trump Gaza, which portrayed the Gaza Strip transformed into a luxury Dubai-like coastal resort. The video was originally produced by independent creators as a satire of Trump's own language. But when the president reposted it, many viewers took it as a serious extension of his previous remarks about leveling Gaza and turning it into a quote-unquote Middle East Riviera.
I do see a long-term ownership position, and I see it bringing great stability to that part of the Middle East and maybe the entire Middle East. I don't want to be cute. I don't want to be a wise guy, but the Riviera of the Middle East, this could be something that could be so bad. This could be so magnificent.
But the clip triggered sharp criticism across Western and Arab capitals, with leaders warning that such imagery oversimplified a humanitarian crisis and could fuel already tense political narratives. Experts, however, have warned that AI-generated media is becoming a central tool in shaping public perception and could escalate the risk of manipulated information during election seasons. Trump's AI post with Ronaldo is more than just a viral curiosity. It underscores how technology, celebrity and power are now intersecting at the highest level of global politics. That's all we have on the show today. We will see you again next week at the same time. Until then, thank you for watching.